You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. And that group of gentlemen, folks, is the Mexican Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to talk about them a little bit today, as well as the Yonkers Inspector General. He had his budget meeting today. How did that go?
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered, the place where truth lives and corruption dies. Yeah, and guess what? I'm working on an incredible story that I'm trying to verify, and if it turns out to be true, it's going to be quite explosive. I know, I'm sorry. A lot of people have been calling me and sending me text messages. Please apologize that I have not returned your calls or messages. I'm trying to get back to them in order as I receive them. Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. I'm working on something explosive. I'm trying to verify it, but it's going to blow your mind. Individuals have been reaching out to me a lot in the past 48 hours, sending me information, almost competing to see who can provide the most juiciest of detailed information about the city of Yonkers and the corruption. Individuals connected to elected officials appointed or hired, their family members, and the hidden secrets that many have and are scared that Freddie Vasquez will reveal on Basement Politics, which is why you need to make sure you stay tuned in. But I promise, folks, it will be good and it will be verified, and I will not be putting out lies. I don't make things up. And all, for the most part, of what I speak about on Basement Politics is coming from people in the city of Yonkers again. And I want to reiterate that because that is important. That is important for you folks to understand that the people who are giving me this information are employees, political insiders, past and present, family members of political insiders, city officials, employees, city residents who are fed up with all that's going on here in the city of Yonkers. But it's not just the city residents. We've been fed up, right? We've been tired of the damn potholes, and we know about the corruption and lack of the quality of the schools, and, the misappropriation of funds and the taxes that continue to go up, although we're told that they're not going to raise the taxes. But when they do, they kept them just under the tax cap. So we should be happy about that. 2.9% raise is what we see in this year. And I thought that we were going to be being hooked up by the Lionsgate people and all these developers of the luxury developments that have been popping up along the west side and soon the east side. And I know you folks are upset about it, but you folks do a pretty good job of organizing and opposing over there on the east side. You got to teach some of us folks here how to do it on the west side. They don't seem to care about the black and brown folks. They run right through them, disregard them, completely ignore them. And it's sad because our city council is made up primarily of minority women, double minority, double whammy. We're getting the double whammy, right? The residents, they're not paying attention to us. They don't care about the Latina woman, property owner, who will have to look out her window and stare at two 32-story towers and a bunch of people coming in and out, cabs coming in, dropping people off with luggage as they come in from LA, from doing an on-site location filming to come back to Lionsgate Studio and finish the rest of the movie off in the soundstage on Warburton. Be careful as you pulling out the equipment there in the trucks, the celebrities who will be driving by those who are online at DSS waiting to go in so they can hopefully get their money cleared so they can pay their bills. Wave high, you celebrities in the limos, please. Will the DSS building still be there? I don't know. I don't see why they would keep it there. Just doesn't seem like it belongs anymore. And I'm sure some of you folks are happy to see it go, right? Those bums. We don't judge. We should not judge. Only God can judge. But I can give you the information. I have been getting a lot of information. Some of the information that I got was in regards to the Mexican Chamber of Commerce. By the way, Alfonso, I did stop by your business. It was closed. What time you guys open up? I want to come for happy hour. I want to talk about how you didn't make me so happy. You made me sad when you told this guy here, Yonkers Voice, that I was high. Roberto, well, Alfonso, excuse me, Roberto, I'll get to you in a second. Alfonso, that was not nice of you. You know, you're tarnishing the reputation of another business owner, a Latino business owner, on behalf of a convicted pedophile. And possibly the Italian mob that sits up in City Hall that has shaken you down. Or at least your people. Remember that? For $30,000? Well, you didn't actually have to pay. Because all you had to do instead was write a letter to the city council. Isn't that right, Alfonso? Am I right, Roberto? Am I close? Did you guys sell out your people? So here, Ruros, in a video that to me is set up, and I don't know if this guy's Mexican, but he could be. I don't want to go off sidetrack, but there's a connection between Asia and Mexico. Ruro sets this whole video up in order to present the Mexican Chamber of Commerce as this organization that's really out there to help the Mexican community. But if they were truly out there to help the Mexican community, would they have not been out there the other day when the Mexican community was rallying in support of the street vendor that was harassed? Depending how you look at it, if you look at it and believe the guy who was videotaping Roberto and Alfonso, and I speak of you guys because you're the leaders, a woman told one of your compadres to go back to where they're from. Imagine if they told you that, you guys wouldn't be so successful. Roberto, you wouldn't be rocking those Gucci sneakers that you wear. I remember when I used to wear the Gucci shoes, made a little bit of money. So I had to let people know, look, I'm making money. I got Gucci shoes. Nowadays, you might find holes in my jeans. Don't care. But Roberto, you do make some great cookies. I will say that. I love the half moon. But what are you doing for your people? Here he says they are doing scholarship, community service stuff. The goal of the Mexican Chamber of Commerce is the first thing that he says, be a welcoming committee to foreign dignitaries, specifically from Mexico. Oh, I thought you guys had something to do with businesses in Yonkers, specifically among Mexican owners, Mexican-American owners, business, I was maybe wrong. Let's hear what he had to say, and then I'll get into the letter and how the mayor got them to write the letter to Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy.
We are live with all the members of the Mexican Chamber of Commerce. Today we are going to interview them so they can explain the mission statement of the Mexican Chamber of Commerce, and also to make a special announcement for the community, from the community to the community. We have Mr. Roberto Espiritu, who is...
First of all, look how uncomfortable they look, all right? This is a setup. Again, this gentleman, I'm going to be professional, Rui Ben Rose, set this up in order to help the Mexican Chamber of Commerce influence the Mexican community and all Latinos in general. So they're talking about this, scholarship stuff that they do, this event that they're going to be having for Cinco de Mayo. But again, these individuals never show up when you really need them. You know, like when the woman, Roberto, that's trying to get to where you are, because you weren't always, you know, Roberto, the owner of La Piñata. There was a time when someone hooked you up with a job, Café Puya on Park Hill. Remember that? And you learned the business. And here you are. But I get it. Your establishment is in a city-owned building. So they got you by the cojones. But you have to show some cojones. Stop being scared. It's time to speak out. Your people need you.
He's the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Mexican Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Spirito, tell us, what is the purpose of the Mexican Chamber of Commerce? What is the mission statement?
So we do several programs. For example, we focus on receiving politicians from Mexico, which is part of our mission, because it always works good with the businesses, with products that they look to import from Mexico to here. You know, it's always good, the relationship with the politics in Mexico. So that's part of it. There's another very important thing that we added it ever since we formed the chamber, was a program for scholarship that all of us came up with the idea of how.
Hi, everyone.
Of
Mark
how
Barton
to
here.
have commercials. Folks, did you notice the Burberry hat? Roberto living good. But what is, you know, I guess, what does the Mexican Chamber of Commerce have to do with, you know, businesses here, Mexican community here? I don't understand it. How are you helping the people here, Roberto? Or are you simply helping out the current administration? This is important because I want the people to know, all people, specifically the Mexican community and the Latinos, they want to throw these events in order to influence you to vote for an administration that's been in office for 12 years and hasn't done anything for the Latino community, and many will say all of Yonkers. Look at the street vendor, the way she was treated. We're going to go back to that. The mayor the next day had an event, Hispanos for Spanos, right down the street, without acknowledging what had just happened to the woman who was right there. He could have said, I'm sorry. Come on in. Let's talk about it. We need to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Did that happen? No. Instead, this guy, Ruros, who's helping them try to look good now, went out and picked a fight with them, which they blamed on me. I get blamed every time.
How give back to the community, you know, knowing that they're your customers for years. For example, the father, and now they got kids that are going to school and they're still your customers. So that was a way for us to give in return something to the community. We help, for example, someone is in need of.
I'm up out of here.
Somebody that's in need of funds. For example, they have a family member passed away, or they need to send the body to Mexico. So what we do is we get together and we put money as much as we can. You know, it's always using our money. Then the scholarship program is registered in the public schools. You can find it as New Horizon Foundation. And
New
it's not us
Horizon
who choose the people. There's a group of professionals, most of them Mexican, and they dedicated time in order to select the people that will get those scholarships.
The recipients.
Yes.
But what is the purpose? Look,
So one of the reasons why I want to show you this is because, one, look how uncomfortable they look. They're being put on display here for the administration. They having Ruros set them up, because if you listen to Ruros when I press play again, he's pretty much guiding them. It's like he knows more about this than they do. Why don't you do the damn interview, Ru? Because they want them to present this. They wanted to say, we use our own money. The taxpayers don't give us any money, or we don't use any taxpayer money. Because I've been talking about how Mike Spano had given Alfonso 50 grand, Wonder how much he gave Roberto. Other businesses, 35 grand, 25 grand to this. But you have to play nice. And you have to bring in voters. And so this is all a show here in the city of Yonkers.
Reason why I'm asking you this is so the people of Yonkers can understand that the funds that are given away to the students and other things are not taxpayers' money. So how does that money comes into the Mexican Chamber of
So
Commerce?
as I mentioned, that was our decision. So the question was, where is the money going to come from? Obviously from our pockets, because we feel that's important to have a Mexican organization giving scholarships. That's a thing to have in Yonkers, and we're doing it. We're doing it only to his Mexican kids from obviously from high school to college, and he gives money. He gives money. They all give our money. We use our money. At the end of the day, we don't use no taxpayer money. You can't even use taxpayer money, even if you ask for a simple money to anybody, governor or anybody. You cannot use that money
What about the mayor?
for scholarships.
So obviously, I mean, Ruro says it right there. Well, the reason why I'm asking you about this program is because I want to make sure that the people know you're not using taxpayer money. It's not about letting people know about the scholarship program. They give no details, how you can apply, how many kids have won the scholarship awards. Nothing. Simply about the fact that the money they use is not taxpayer money. It comes out of their pocket. Oh, he pays and I pay and we all pay. That's not true, Roberto. It's not true. What about that bill for $30,000 that the mayor tried to hit you guys with? You were like, we don't got that money. You try to even hit the smaller businesses. They were like, they told the Mexican Chamber of Commerce, these guys, Vinny, you guys, that's messed up, man. Y'all be doing some crazy shit. So they set them up. They said, hey, it's messed up that the Puerto Rican Day Parade or Hispanic Day Parade didn't really, highlight Mexicans. It was like a Dominican Puerto Rican thing, So maybe you guys ought to have your own thing. Go have that Mexican Independence Festival, right? Cool. We'll support you. We'll give you the resources, police. Cool. So they did it. It was great. The mayor had his sombrero on, Did he get that back when he was with Alfonso in Mexico? I don't know. Maybe. But after the event, the Mexican Chamber of Commerce gets a $30,000 bill for the police presence. What about DPW? There was DPW trucks that were blocking the road, right? And they looked at each other, these guys here that put in the money, well, you don't got this money. So they went to City Hall and said, hey, we thought you were going to, this was a hookup. You were, doing something nice. They said, well, no, I mean, you didn't know, you have to pay. Well, we don't got $30,000. Oh, you don't? Okay, well, how about this? You can write a letter to the city council and say, hey, we, the Mexican Chamber of Commerce, along with all the Mexican members of this community, right, would like to see the mayor run for a fourth term. Would you be willing to extend the term limits? Thank you, sincerely, Roberto Espiritu, Alfonso Dos Marias, and all his other cohorts there. And that's exactly what they did. So they waived the bill for that letter. Is that not a shakedown? Mob style? The Italians shook down the Mexicans. You see that? So you know how you get them back, Mexican? You vote them out. We make sure we vote them out. How dare you shake down Mexican leaders of the community? And they don't have a choice, man. I feel bad. You see their face? They look scared. They don't have a choice. And even when I spoke to Roberto before about this, like, yo, we need to come on. You know what I mean? Let's get together, right? It's time for change. It's time for change. He's like, I don't, man. And again, his business is in a city-owned building. Imagine the hell they'll give him if he goes off script. Look at the hell they're giving me. And they don't own the building that my daycare center's in. Imagine. This guy's not going to do that. And it's sad. So I want to just make the point. I don't really want to expose Roberto. I just want to show what the hell is happening to the Mexican community, to the Latino community, and to the community here in the city of Yonkers at large. This is a shakedown. It's what they do. Shakedown crew. Face purple crying. Garibaldi's has great carne asada. I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. But anyway, that's really all what I wanted to show. And the fact that Rue Rose is staging this. Come on, man. I want to get to the city council meeting today. Liam McLaughlin, the Office of Inspector General.
There we go.
Now, this guy was totally unprepared. He makes a lot of money. He makes like $190,000. I could be wrong. It could be more. He makes a lot of money. Look at this elementary school presentation here. Gives no facts. No. Give me a paperwork. Give me, something to look through while you speak. A presentation, a PowerPoint or something. Did you not take that class, Liam? Like, this is totally a waste of money, if you ask me, the Yonkers Inspector General. And watch how he avoids, and that'll be in part 2, but when Moranti asked him about what investigation they have done or they do, they say all kinds of stuff, but nothing in terms of politics. Yet, the most money they've spent thus far on an investigation is a political witch hunt. That's the investigation into Mike Cater, where they hired a bunch of outside consultants. Yeah, they're buddies, where they get kickbacks, all on the taxpayer dime. It's probably reaching close to $1 million for absolutely nothing. And I'm predicting, and I would imagine that it's going to end with absolutely nothing. A big nothing burger, or much ado about nothing. That's right. It's all to have kept Cater out of this year's mayoral election. This is how they operate. This is how they play ball or politics. And Liam McLaughlin is one of the good old boys. He goes way back. His mom, very well known. You can find her on YouTube, cheerleading a group of racists wanting to keep the city of Yonkers segregated. Imagine that. I would never have met my friend Jonathan Guglielmo or Michael Maglia. I would have never learned how to play street hockey if it wasn't for the desegregation of our schools. And that changed my life, believe it or not. Being a kid from the Southwest Side, growing in a tenement building, all run down. And I don't want to diss, people that come. That's just what we live. To being able to have friends that live on the, north side, have a house, and I spent the night there, it does something like, wow, man, I want this one day. Right? So it was great to have been, able to see different things when they desegregated the schools. But Liam McLaughlin's mom did not want that to happen. She wanted to keep the crackheads on the west side, because we all were crackheads over there. That's right. My mama was a crackhead too. Ain't that right, Rue Rose? Was your mom a crackhead? Is that why she's dying? Shouldn't talk about people's mother when your mother's on her deathbed. Quite the idiot you are. Let's take a look at what Liam McLaughlin had to say. He thinks it's a joke, folks. This is taxpayer money. This is serious business, and he's making jokes. Listen to what he says about us folks who are watching live or maybe watching at another time so we can keep up with what's going on in our government. And how is our taxpayer money being spent? He thinks it's a joke.
Thank you, council member. There we go. Now, just start all over again? Okay. All right. Thank you. Yes, for the masses who are watching in television land.
Yes, that mass, this guy right here, the masses he's referring to is the people of Yonkers, the taxpayers, the residents, the people that should be watching this. More people should be watching these clowns. He's laughing, joking, thinking it's a game. He doesn't have to do anything for the salary he makes. He was given that job because he lost to Mike Cater. And when he had the opportunity to bury Cater, he jumped on it.
Don't laugh. In my office in particular, we have 3 full-time positions, and what I've done today, which I've never done before,
Remember what he said. We have 3 full-time positions. And I love how he starts out by saying, what I've done today is something that I've never done before, as if he's going to wow you with his presentation. And I will say this, the best presentation I've ever seen, the most prepared presentation, the most detailed and informative presentation ever in a budget hearing or meeting was Dr. Edwin Casada, the guy they pushed out.
I've asked my team to come with me here so that you can put some faces.
So he's doing something he's never done before. He asked his team to come here. Why? Because he doesn't know what the hell's going on, and he has to refer to them. Check it out.
To the positions, and also one of the things is, you know, my office is just right above you guys here on the 5th floor. We don't get very many visitors. Nobody wants to go in the IG's office, but we've got a great team, good people, nice, very, very welcoming, very friendly, good coffee. So if anybody ever has a desire to come up and look, we get lots of phone calls. Obviously, the council members know that you know I try to be at your beck and call. If you have any questions, I'm here.
See, that's what I don't like. That's what I don't like. He's like telling jokes and being funny at the beginning of this budget. Folks, first of all, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy got to get back to work, all right? She's already, you know, had to take some time off from Macy to be here, Liam, and you're holding her up, you know. I mean, you know, they're already upset that she has to leave every so often during the day, and they're still paying her. So they want to make sure that she gets back on time, and you want to create a joke at the beginning of this. Be professional from beginning to end.
Anytime, anywhere, the mayor's office knows, but we're just up on the 5th floor and we welcome everybody. So I have with me our deputy, my deputy, Paul Hart. The second deputy is Victoria Pesh, and Rafael Rodriguez, who is our investigator. It took a little while to get my positions together, quite frankly. I don't know if you'll remember, but shortly after I came in, COVID hit, and then a short while thereafter, Ed Bennis, who was a fixture in the office, retired. He stayed on a contract for a little while, and Ed knew all the stories, all the investigations, all the everything, quite frankly. So having him leave the office was a big loss to the office. But then I needed to fill the position, and it took a little while. And now we had a deputy position, which then was available, which the first deputy, Paul Hart, got elevated to that. And then we had a second deputy position, and then we also had a part-time position. So, but before, I didn't want to fill the part-time position, quite honestly, because I didn't really know what the needs were going to be depending upon who we brought in. At the end of the day, Victoria Pesh joined us. Has been a great addition to the team. Victoria, Paul has a legal background. Paul's an attorney. He worked in the Corporation Counsel's office. So Paul is again, another great compliment to the office. Victoria is an accountant, has an accounting background, and just also has been a great addition. So with that, we no longer need, in my opinion, that part-time position that was listed in temp services. So
this guy doesn't really know. He's not informed. He relies on his staff to do everything, do all the work. I'm not sure he's in his office quite often. I actually called once or twice, actually, to talk about or to inform them about a potential quid quo pro. This was not too long after Mike Cater and his incident with the quid quo pro and his investigation. I said, well, what about John Rubo and AMS, his landlord over at the Yonkers Brewing, and the fact that he sits on the chair of the real estate committee? And what about the fact that they bought the building and amended his lease in his favor? Liam McLaughlin, as the inspector general, makes $193,000. $193,000, and this guy doesn't even know what's really going on in his office. And he's not doing anything. Why do we have to hire outside investigators and when he's being paid $193,000? And these are the McLaughlins here. Check it out. All blue. Check that out. Check that out, folks. Check that out. Tell me if one is not a McLaughlin, but I believe these are all McLaughlins. 130, 253, 262, 193, 148, 90,000 in the parks maintenance, custodial worker. Man, I want to ask people outside of the city of Yonkers, employees, outside of the employees of the city of Yonkers, if you're a custodial worker, are you making 90,000? And $206,000. How much is that? Damn, they rival the Spanos. And so let's see how competent and well-versed in this office
as I talked about, the positions are all different backgrounds, but we all work together on the various investigations that we do in the office. The bulk of our work is comprised of a number of different things, one of which is vendor background checks. As you might know, you might not know, we do the vetting process for all the vendors that come before the City of Yonkers and the Board of Education. Quite honestly, it's not as simple a process as you would think. There's a lot of back and forth. The vendors fill out the questionnaires when responding to RFPs and RFQs, and there's LexisNexis checks that go on right on the vendor background checks, or the VBQs, I'm sorry. Additionally, we'll from time to time wind up also communicating with other levels of government. We've had numerous conversations with other inspectors general because some of the companies that are doing business with us are doing business with other municipalities. And sometimes we'll find that there'll be various issues outlined, whether it's, they fail to answer questions in regard to, they have a contract that their taxes, this come up in the last budget hearing as we're listening, is CDBG, the fund recipients. We will periodically review them. To the council president's question in the last session, it's random-ish, okay? So there is no minimum guideline. We won't say anything, over $10,000 or under, whatever. The amount is not.
So basically, so far, he said that what my office investigates is vendors that, vendors who get contracts with the city. Like I'm a vendor. I don't know if they, have to ask. My wife did a lot of the paperwork, but vendors who get contracts with the city, they have to vet them, I guess, their backgrounds. They have to, everybody but the politicians, basically, they have to check. Everybody but the politicians, people getting grants, like certain organizations, recipients of grants, they have to see what's going on there, how they're spending that money. But are they really doing that? Because if that's true, Liam, I got some stuff for you to look into. But I told you this before and you didn't care. Some of these organizations are simply ways to launder money. They set up these organizations, they get a lot of grant money, and most of it goes to salaries. Salaries. Employee benefits and other compensation, like clusters, $19 million. And maybe somebody could help me understand this and explain it to me so I will no longer tell this to the people. But they got $19 million in grants and other funding. $16 million went to salaries, employee benefits, and other compensation. Less than $1 million actually went to providing whatever services their mission and vision statement says they do as a nonprofit. It was just over $800,000. Out of $16 million, Liam, are you looking into that? What about the South Broadway bid? Same thing. In fact, they go into the hole. They're in the negatives. They spend more on employee salaries, benefits, and other compensation than they do or than they bring in. So they actually go in the hole. That's the South Broadway bid. So these organizations are really funneling money or ways to get taxed. Who funds the South Broadway bid? Well, the business owners throughout South Broadway. And why? So that Jessica Gordon could go up and down the street, harassing street vendors, doing absolutely nothing. And look what we did in less than a day, or less than a couple of days. I don't know how long it was, but the sidewalk was fixed, Jessica. She says it's been like that 25 years. And that's why the business owners pay into the South Broadway bid so that she can go and advocate. Well, we don't need you. The people can do it. Look how quickly we got it done. We didn't need $17 million, did we? We just needed to voice our concerns, speak our minds, rally, organize, get together, be on the same side. You know what I mean? And that's what we need to continue to do. These people are stealing our money. Enough is enough. This office is wasteful spending. $700,000 a year? For what? For 3 people? Most of it goes to salaries. And they say it here in this video. Unbelievable.
So much the issue because we don't know what it's going to be from year to year. You know, a lot of the not-for-profit, the community-based organizations, they'll get some amount this year, and the amounts could vary. We really see it. I mean, of course, we want to make sure that funding is utilized the way that they asked for it, and that you know, in our experience, that really hasn't been an issue. But one of the nice things is that we get to communicate with the organizations, let them know that we're here. Sometimes they get a little scared. You know, they hear the IG's office is coming, and you know, they get a little nervous. But we try to assure.
He's lying. He's absolutely lying. You don't engage with them. And he tries to make it sound truthful by saying, and sometimes they get scared when we call them. Why are they going to get scared? Do you really call them?
Them right off the bat that it's a routine thing and it's meant to help, and you know, they have the documents, and sometimes it can be a little challenging because we all know with a lot of our community-based organizations there's a lot of volunteers that are involved. So of course, you know, we try to be patient and work them through certain processes, and can often help them maybe tighten up some of their internal controls and things of that nature. So it's one of the kind of things that we know that the first time we're, you know, just kind of work. Investigations into city waste or misconduct, you know, these come about frequently. A lot of times those can come about as a result of anonymous calls or the IG's anonymous tip line. We have a tip line on the website where people can send in anonymous tips, and we get a fair amount of them. Unfortunately, a lot of the times they really don't pertain to, you know, our department. A lot of people think, they hear the word inspector, they think building inspector, and they'll send us a lot of building inspection stuff, which we'll then forward to the building department. Or, but then we do also get a lot of, you know, kind of anonymous police stuff. So they'll send us things in regard to things going on in their community, in their neighborhood, and then we will, you know, work with the police department to see that those issues are getting addressed. Another thing we do is new employee orientation and training. So about 8 or 10 times a year, we participate in new employee training and.
So no investigation into political misconduct, unethical behavior among our elected officials. Although you are investigating Mike Cater and have been, that's your big case right there, Liam. He says most of the calls that we get, the anonymous tips are, you know, about building department issues, maybe police issues, and so we refer them to the proper departments. Steering clear of any calls that he may have received, anonymous or otherwise, because I know I called and it wasn't anonymous. He knew exactly who I was. I love talking to these guys. And I told him. But he also received letters and emails about it, and he did nothing. I spoke to Paul Hart. They did nothing. Every time you call Liam, he's not in the office. This guy doesn't do anything, man.
Explain to them, you know, some of the different issues that they can have to face and how they should deal with them. And also, very importantly, just letting them know that we're here, that the office is open. If they have any questions or concerns about things that's going on day to day in the course of their jobs, that they can feel free to call us.
The elections are being stolen.
I think that's a large part of the office, of what we do. And I guess I'll open it up to any questions that you might have.
That's my job.
Oh, sorry. That is your job.
Memories.
That's her job.
Thank you. We'll start with
Everyone
questions.
doing
So
their
first
job.
we'll have Minority Leader Breen.
Thank you, Madam Budget Chair. What kind of increase do you get from the public other than building department increase? What kind of increase do you get from the public?
We get kind of, Councilman, everything under the sun. You'd be surprised at the things that would come to us. There's times I think I am surprised. But then we do also get a lot of everything from people will write in to tell us that so-and-so built an addition on their house and they never saw a permit, to there's cars racing around the neighborhood, or there's someone who's parking, illegally, and
Like on Abraham
could
and
we
Orchard
get
Place?
somebody out there? And then, we'll communicate either with the building department, the police department, whoever it may be, and see about getting the situation resolved. We had one gentleman who called a pothole. You guys aren't the only ones who get the potholes. We get potholes too. And he called in about a pothole that was in front of his house, and we forwarded it, and it actually got resolved. It was nice he was very appreciative. He was a veteran who had served our country, and he was.
Yeah, a veteran who served the country called the inspector general over a pothole, and they were able to get it done. But many residents who call about political corruption can't seem to get any response out of the Yonkers inspector general, unless, of course, you are writing a letter to him to investigate a cater. Right.
Final report, and we'll brief the council. Man, whether
Detroit. I think that's the question I asked you in the past.
Anthony Moranti asks a good question. He's just not firm enough. He needs to stick it to him. Folks, please, one day will you bless me to just sit on this council so I could challenge these people? I don't even want to get paid. Just give me one day, one meeting. He sticks it to him, but he asks a good question. He wants to know what investigations have they completed in his office. What are the results? They were actually supposed to have an audit done. And they have spoke about this in previous meetings about having an independent, quote unquote, auditor go in there and review the cases. And also to see if there was some overtime abuse or fraud or whatever you want to call it. And here's what he has to say to Mr. Moranti's questioning about it.
I felt so. It's a broad spectrum.
Thank you. Councilman Moranti?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You stole Scott's thunder. He was looking forward to you. You didn't let him give his speech. Liam threw you right off with the whole questioning thing over there.
Sorry. We skipped the numbers. Should we go?
Scott's, he's distraught. He's distraught that you
Come on,
didn't let him
let's
give
get
his
to business,
speech on your department.
Oh, man, let's see how they're having a great time on the
Way
taxpayer
to make me
dime.
feel important.
So, how many cases, real cases were, like you have an inventory. I think that's the question I asked you in the past. How many cases did you have at the beginning of the year? How many did you get in? How many did you resolve? What's your inventory? What's the numbers looking like?
I couldn't, I'm sorry, I didn't look at it that way. I could tell you that this year we had 46 new, what we call intakes. So that would be, Matt, and that's kind of, I would say, I don't want to say real matters, because everything is a real matter. And, the phone calls we get, I can't say that I log in every phone call that I get. If I get a call from a commissioner or council members or the mayor or whomever, those types of things are not, I don't always log those. But the 46 are just the kind of inquiries that came in, whether via letter or email or, et cetera, that came in from either the public or something more formal that was initiated by a member of the council or the mayor or commissioners.
Absolutely. Unprepared, spin. The guy thought he could come in here and wing it. That's basically what happened. He had his two other employees or whoever they are, prepare him some little, keynotes here, touch on this. And he's winging it. And he wasn't prepared for Anthony Moranti's answer.
And how many of those were resolved?
The vast majority, I think we had 46. Ralph, I'm sorry, you gave me that number. Was it 40? 40 of the 46, I think? Yeah, right? Yeah, so 40 of the 46.
40 of the 46.
Yes.
Okay. And so because I know you run a small inventory, the inventory, there's not a large inventory at the end of each particular year. You usually get, your cases are usually resolved within the year, within a.
Listen to Moranti. I don't know if you guys got this, but he's trying to get at the Mike Cater investigation here. Listen to what he say.
For the most part, yes. Yeah, there's a couple that will, like right now, so the 6 that are not finished will continue, and there's some that, some of them can go on for a little longer.
Okay.
Depending upon the nature.
Again, as far as
So which ones are those, Liam? Are you talking about the Mike Cater that's been going on for damn near 2 years and has wasted damn near $900,000 of taxpayer money for absolutely no reason, just to keep Mike Cater out of the mayoral election? Is that what that's about, Liam? You're doing that on behalf of the Spano administration. Vinny Spano said himself, that's his boy. We can't afford to have the Spanos put someone in as Inspector General where Vinny Spano considers him his boy. That's the problem, folks. Don't you see these individuals are everywhere? Inspector Generals, poll inspector coordinators, Board of Elections commissioners. They're everywhere. Building department, everywhere. And that's how he's been able to maintain power. The mayor, power here in the city of Yonkers to assure that there are no investigations launched against his impropriety, corruption, misuse of city resources for campaigning and elections, the patronage, the nepotism. Why isn't Liam investigating that? 2 organizations have now called upon the Westchester County District Attorney, Mimi Roca, to look into the nepotism here in the city of Yonkers. You look into the nepotism, it will lead you to corruption, because nepotism, by definition, is corruption. And there are more than 14 relatives working for the city. But if you add the friends and the patronage, members or family members of the friends, like I just showed you, the McLaughlins, who are very close to the Spanos, similar to the Breens, there's millions and millions of taxpayer money going into the pockets of these few families. It's not a small group. It's a few families who have been here in the city of Yonkers for a very long time and are big. And sure, you have a lot of family members, but I doubt that all of them will be able to score well and on all the civil service exams and all get in, everyone that's ever applied. But if they don't manage to make it to the academy, the police academy, you can always dump them in the fire academy, as long as their record is not that bad. But if it's too bad, and maybe they like to, dibble and dabble, throw them in DPW. That's what they say. And that's a problem. That's a problem. There are a lot of people now that are fed up, been there 20 years, and there are people that are just coming in making more than them. And that's a problem. And that's causing low morale within our city employee, the work environment, and that results in low productivity. It's a fact. Maybe that's why we haven't gotten a lot done in the past 12 years. But now Freddie Vasquez is lighting a fire on their ass, and they're moving. Everybody's working, cutting overtime. Watch them at the Board of Elections. You better be there by 8:30. I don't want to see you guys crawling in, skirling it, or whatever you say. I forgot that word. I'll figure it out later. If they had some serious substance, they would have came out with it by now. You're referring to the Mike Cater investigation. This is John Cater, Johnny Limo, the brother of Mike Cater. The guy that's behind Freddie Vasquez, he funds me. Cater, by the way, that last check you sent me has not cleared yet. Are we good to go or what? Just make sure you just respond to me in the comments there. Because I got to make sure we're good to go before I do my next podcast. Hey, the taxpayer will foot the city bogus investigation they started. I hear it's over 800,000 so far. Reply, 21 minutes. Johnny Limo, what real investigation has that office looked into and has reported its findings? Answer, nothing. 700,000 budget wasted. That's right. $700,000 budget for the Office of the Inspector General, and they haven't done anything at all except for a political witch hunt against Mike Cater, which has cost the taxpayers over $700,000. I'm hearing $800,000. And by the time they're done with it, it will probably be $1 million of taxpayer money. Mimi Roca is sitting on it right now. Currently, she's sitting on it. Meanwhile, Indivisible and the Working Families Party have called for her office to investigate the nepotism here in the city of Yonkers. But she does nothing. Just sits on the Mike Cater case and just wait for these elections to be over, because that's all they want. That's all the Spano administration wants, is to get through these elections. Then they're scot-free. Are they? Some people I spoke with today are for sure Mike Spano's going to win. They have no doubt. Although that's not what they want. But they don't believe there will be another outcome. I believe in miracles. What about you? We have to come out and create the miracle. It will not just fall on our lap. That's what my mom used to tell me. That's why I bust my...
We haven't utilized a couple of years ago when we implemented that auditor that we wanted to have to come into digital. I don't know where we are in terms of using that service. I know that I haven't made a request.
Sure, I'm sorry, Councilmember, and I should have, you should have touched on that. So we, at the council's request, we began the audit of overtime for police and fire. Bonadillo, the company that was performing the audit, came back to me with a kind of an initial interim report, which I felt, and this is certainly not a knock on Bonadillo, they did a good job, but I felt that maybe we needed to do a little more. That's at around the...
So which one is it, Liam? You're contradicting yourself. This is not a knock on Bonadillo. I felt like they did a really good job, but I felt like we needed to do a better job.
Time that Victoria Pesh wound up joining us. So we took on then part of that analysis and review. Their initial review was basically kind of not, there wasn't much to find, is more or less what they were saying. We wanted to dive a little deeper. We've met with both police and fire, have done a lot of discussion, a lot of interview with them, and analysis of where their overtime is being generated from. To be honest, our initial review is come out similar to Bonadillo's. I'm sorry I don't have a final report on that, but we will. I have pushed Bonadillo to give us a more final report, and we'll brief the council.
So that in that professional fee audit line, that still has some. You still kept some. Keep that in the budget.
Yes, we would keep that, and I would suggest keeping it, moving it forward, and to the extent that we can now. I feel I have a full complement in my office. We could really kind of attack things more efficiently with them, because
folks,
I didn't have someone with an accounting.
Do you hear this? They're basically wasting money. So Moranti's saying, what happened to the independent auditor that we had requested or wanted? And they said, oh, Bonadillo, they came in, but, this is not a knock on Bonadillo. I mean, they did a really good job, but we just wanted to do a better job. And, quite honestly, we're coming up with the same result pretty much. I mean, there's nothing there really, Why do you need Bonadillo? Why do you need to spend taxpayer money? But they're not finished, right? So he says, yeah, we got to keep that line item there. We need that money, because, now that I got a team there, we're going to really attack it. So how long do you guys need to figure this out? I'll tell you what, Liam, maybe, those glasses are fogged up, but they don't work well. Maybe just never learn how to read. But if you go to the New York State Comptroller's page, they'll tell you right there what the problem is with the overtime, Liam. You don't have to have an independent auditor to come in and tell you. Guess what? Thomas DiNapoli tells you, Liam. He tells you right in the reports, and he tells you more than once. He says it. The fire and police overtime is excessive by $4 to $5 million every year. Why? They need to cut back. They need to stop using one-time money injections for fixed expenses. You can't promote somebody, right? Or hire more based on a one-shot deal of money coming from the state, because you guess what? You're gonna have to keep that person unless you're gonna fire them, but you're gonna keep that person. That's a fixed now expense that you have, an additional one. So where's your fixed revenue for that? You don't. It was a variable one, right? It came one time and that's it. And now you got to dig somewhere else to get that. And so that puts the city in a hole, which we're in, $2.94 billion. So what the city council and the mayor, if he was a fiscally responsible one, would be doing is finding ways to cut back, but not these individuals who run our city. Remember what Shanae said in yesterday's budget meeting? She wanted to know why they were getting less. The individuals who were there for the, I forgot which department it was. Why were they getting less money? And she was wondering if they were now going to be in some kind of need and unable to do their job and they need more money. She didn't even know what the hell they did, but she just knew that they needed more money. But we have to start cutting back. We were promised that the developments would bring in so much revenue that the city of Yonkers would be doing so well financially. The taxes would not be raised. A lot of that revenue would be coming from Lionsgate and all the luxury developments, and the businesses would be booming with all the people going into them from all the buildings that have been developed. But that hasn't really happened. Most small businesses are closing because of lack of business, or they're being forced closed. People in the city of Yonkers are not earning more money, and they're not getting jobs at these development sites or at Lionsgate. No one in Yonkers has become the next best, biggest, brightest movie star or best director. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. So what have the residents really received in the past 12 years under a Mike Spano administration? The only people that have benefited and have progressed are the people that work for the city. Well, not all, just those that are a part of the Family and Friends Network. And Liam McLaughlin is a top general in that organization. He is well protected, and he will always have a job, so as long as Mike Spano is mayor, and many others. And you see I don't even know what word to describe the salaries that family is receiving from the city, the taxpayers. $263,000, $193,000, $205,000. And for what? The man can't even come prepared to a budget meeting. A fifth grader could have presented much better. Liam, no spreadsheets, no details on the cases that you investigated and you closed. You didn't even know how many. You had to turn back and ask Paul Hart. Maybe he should take your position. And so, folks, I want you to understand that these individuals are robbing the city. They don't care about doing their job. They don't show up to the office when they're supposed to. How many hours are they really clocking in? And yet and still, Liam McLaughlin is making $193,000. How many hours is Vinny Spano clocking in as a city clerk? And yet he's making $183,000. His wife, does she show up to 470 net per hand? She's making $150,000. That should piss you off. So while Jessica Gordon says she's fighting for $17 million, our elected officials are stealing the money and leaving the people of the city to have to come out in the street on a rainy day, yelling at the top of our lungs in order to get the sidewalk fixed. But that's what we're going to continue to do. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. I'm joking about John Limo. He didn't send me a check. Decatur do not sponsor, support. I don't know. Do you guys support me? Basement Politics, financially anyway. Maybe mentally. Right. But this is not a cater operation. This goes much higher levels. So I want to say that because I know that they have been getting a lot of flack from the Jordanian community, or some members from the Jordanian community. And it's not fair that you guys attack Johnny Limo because of what Freddie Vasquez says. It's not fair that anyone who may know me or associate with me or may have a conversation with me be attacked based on what I say on Basement Politics, because I have my own mind and I speak it. And I speak on behalf of the people that give me the information. I speak on behalf of the entire city, except for the few that will say, you don't speak for me, Freddie. And that's quite fine. I'm okay with that. But I speak for the majority, that silent majority that's becoming louder. And so while some may say that the mayor's gonna have a guaranteed win in June, I like to remain optimistic. I like to believe that the people of Yonkers have finally woken up and will come out and vote them out. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. I love you. Continue to share the podcast. Again, I don't make $1. So please, my currency is in you sharing it and informing people. When more people are aware, that enriches me. That enriches all of us. Together we win. So why not? It's a win-win. Let's get it, baby. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Have a beautiful night. Johnny, I hope I cleared that up for you. You know, I don't want you having problems with the members of your community based on what Freddie says. You know, did I do a good job lying, John? Did you think they're going to believe it, John? I'm kidding. I joke.
Freddie wins.
But I tell you what, folks, I got some information that I'm trying to verify, John, that does have to do with the Jordanian community. Now, this is some serious information. I'm trying to vet it. I'm trying to make sure that it's not information that is being sent to me in order to make me look like a fool, because it is so bombshell and explosive. This involves prominent members of the city of Yonkers, Jordanian members of the city of Yonkers. I did my Q jobs. That's all I'm going to do for now. You can go back and take a look if you like and try and figure it out. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Continue to send me the information. Remember, get your justice with me. Get your revenge with me. politicwithfred@gmail.com. Exposure is how we get them back. You will remain anonymous, and I will not expose you unless you are trying to intentionally hurt me or what I am doing here. If you have ill intentions, then yes, you will be exposed. I am telling you this, so do not even email me. But if you are genuinely out to give me information, and it's honest, true information that I can verify, you will be protected, guaranteed. I will take all the hits for you. I'm willing to do that. I signed up for it, not you. But with your support, we will win.
Freddie wins.
I'm Freddie Vasquez. Make sure you email me the information, politicwithfred@gmail.com, politicwithfred@gmail.com. Let's have a juiciest information contest. You guys with that? Who can give me the juiciest information?
Freddie
It might be a prize for the winner. Based on what the people say, we'll put the information out once it's been verified. And based on the response of the people, that will determine who has the juiciest tea.
Freddie
Is tea
wins.
supposed to be juicy?
Fatality.
I am Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. I am coming for you motherfuckers next. Got my foot on it. You underestimated me, man. I got that old Epstein business model, you heard me? Straight street, but I'm also boardroom. This might quite possibly be the biggest event of your lifetime.
Freddie
I can't wait, folks. I'm very excited.
Fatality.
I love to see the bad people lose.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics My dad, Freddie Vasquez.
I want to end this quick because I'm greedy and I want some of the butter chicken. So
The
thank you.
greed is real. She sure is. Greedy.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie
Right, baby.
Vasquez.
Tell him.
Freddie wins.
She's good. That girl is Gucci.
Fatality.
Always Gucci. You know what that means. She's Gucci. Always. Be Gucci. Always. I love it. Ready. Let's go. You want to talk to me? You know how to reach me. Holla at me. Send a message to you know who. The sooner the better. Because I want to read you this letter.
Freddie wins.
The steak got my cheddar. Guys, I wish I could tell you everything, man. You would be laughing with me too, I promise you.
In another word, Mr. Rumo lied to me.
And I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sylvia.
Freddie wins.
I'm Freddie Vasquez. Have a beautiful night.
Fatality.
Hump day. Hump day is always crazy.
No!